Hey everybody, it's Tim from GymCrafter.com, the website that I built to help folks like you and me build home gyms that we not only love, but that we actually use. And today I've got a video that's been requested from me quite a few times. What we're gonna do is we're gonna compare almost all of the barbell finishes that are available on the market today. We're gonna look at 4 different aspects for each finish. There's really 4 different things that change whether or not you might want a particular finish on your bar. The first one is price.
Take all my money!
Some finishes are more expensive than the others. So we're going to talk about what's worth your money and what's not. Feel on the barbell.
Feels good.
Different finishes affect the feel of the barbell. So we're going to talk about which finishes feel a certain way, why you might want one over the other based on the feel of the barbell. Third is corrosion protection. And this is the reason that manufacturers started coating barbells in the first place. Originally, barbells were bare steel, and as we all know, bare steel rusts. And then the fourth difference is going to be looks. A lot of people like to customize their bars to match their home gym and to match their personality.
That's fancy. That's fancy.
So today we're going to walk through all of these bars. We're going to look at each of those 4 points on each of them. And hopefully by the end of the video, you guys will have a great handle on whether or not you want a certain barbell finish or not the next time you order a barbell. And if you like videos like this, please drop a like and a subscribe. And then I'm also going to put links to a lot of these bars in the description below. If you do decide to buy one of them and you buy through one of my links, it does help the channel out. And again, it does help me buy more bars so that I can show you more stuff about barbells. But let's get into the comparison of barbell finishes. I got my first barbell when I was 13 years old. That was 39 years ago. It came as part of a weight set from Sears that I got for Christmas one year. I had been asking for one for a couple of years and I was so happy to see it under the tree. This bar was 1 inch diameter, painted black, and it had a gray plastic sleeve that went over the outside of it that gave it a little bit of grip and allowed it to spin in your hands when you used it. I was so excited. And in that day, that was one of the only barbells that you could get if you wanted to work out at home. Well, things have certainly changed in the last 39 years. Barbell manufacturers have upped their quality in almost every respect, to the point where now everybody, for the most part, makes a great barbell. You can get great knurling everywhere. You can get great sleeves everywhere. You can get great internal components and bearings and bushings from a variety of different manufacturers. So what are manufacturers to do to set their barbells apart from each other? And what we've seen over the last 5 to 10 years is an explosion in the number of finishes that you can get your bars in. It's one of the ways that you can personalize your bar to your gym, get something that looks cool and works well, and differentiate yourself from the pack. But how do you pick from all the finishes? Is there a difference? Is it just color? Is it just texture? So we're gonna take a deep dive today into almost all of the barbell finishes that are available today so that we can hopefully help you make a better decision as to what kind of bar and bar finish you buy in your next barbell. All right, everybody, ready to geek out on some barbell finishes? There's a couple caveats here up front. A, there are some exotic finishes out there that I don't have and can't afford. Kabuki Strength is a good example. They make some beautiful finishes. I don't have any of their bars here in the garage, and I'm not gonna cover any of those finishes because they're not a commonly applied or readily available finish. Secondly, there are other finishes that I don't have, but I'll do my best to describe them. And thirdly, I'm not going to get into the chemical application.
A mad scientist.
It's not something that I think is important to the purchasing decision. I'm much more interested in what do the finishes do for you. I will tell you that all of the manufacturers out there have that information on their websites if they do a particular finish that will let you know how that finish is applied. Also, the manufacturers, for example, we're going to talk a little bit about Cerakote. Cerakote is a brand name, so that company that makes the Cerakote coating that everybody buys from, they have a great explanation on their site of what it is and how it works. So I'm going to skip that part. We're going to go just over those 4 points that I talked about for each finish. And we're going to start at the least expensive and work our way up to some of the most expensive and kind of go in that manner. So we're going to start with a bar that I don't have, and that's bare steel. That's your old school barbell material. In fact, if you go buy a Texas Power bar right now, odds are you'll probably end up with a bare steel bar. They're very popular with powerlifters. They're very popular with folks on a budget. They are the least expensive of all of the finishes. Now, some bar manufacturers, their bar is going to be more expensive, but as far as finish goes, it's the least expensive finish because it's not a finish, it's just the bare steel. The benefit of a bare steel bar, aside from price, is that it gives you the best connection to the barbell when you're lifting. When you're lifting and you're grabbing the bar and you're feeling the knurl, the better the connection and the better the feel between you and the bar, the more enjoyable the lift is. And a lot of people say it helps them lift better. That's why a lot of folks like their Texas Power Bars, is because they love the feel of the bar itself. As far as corrosion resistance, there's none. I'm gonna tell you, if you live on either coast, anywhere near salt water, you don't want a bare steel bar. It's going to rust. You could probably watch it rust as you look at it. Now, some of the folks in the Midwest, like myself, I could probably get away with a bare steel bar, but they do require a lot of maintenance. I did make a video on barbell care and maintenance that'll show you how to take care of that. A lot of the bars I'm gonna show you today have been kind of sitting in storage for a while, so some of them have some corrosion, and I'll show you what that looks like on each of those finishes so you can get an idea. But I wanna put your mind at ease. Most corrosion you can clean off. The best way to do that is Barbell Rescue, the brush that I always recommend, just came out with an oil that is non-caustic, environmentally friendly, doesn't smell. A lot of people used to use 3-in-1 oil, and I gotta tell you, that stuff stinks. It gets all over your hands.
Oh, that really stinks.
It's just kind of gross, and this Barbell Rescue oil is fantastic. Kim, the owner, sells it in a bundle. I'll put a picture and a link and all that kind of good stuff, but you can get a lot of corrosion off. If you've got a bare steel bar that's just really bad, Coop from Garage Gym Reviews, probably 5-6 years ago now, you can definitely find it on Google, actually restored a completely destroyed bare steel bar, completely rusted out. I believe he used vinegar to do it, but go check out his video. It's probably the best barbell restoration video that's out there. So if you do have a bar and you did make a decision based on price to go with a bare steel bar and it's really rusty, all is not lost. You can fix almost any bar. But that's bare steel. Lowest price, best feel, worst corrosion protection. And as far as looks go, a lot of people like the look of a bare steel bar. I've been to a lot of powerlifting gyms where there's cobwebs in the corner and chains hanging everywhere, and they use these old vintage iron plates that clang together, and a bare steel barbell fits into that environment really, really well. So if you like that look in your gym, you don't mind maintaining and taking care of your barbell, and you like a good connection, a bare steel bar is probably a really, really good way to go. But manufacturers realize that not everybody's going to maintenance their barbell all the time. They're not going to clean it and take care of it all the time. So they said, well, how can we keep it from rusting? And aside from painting them, like I talked about my Sears barbell, probably the next thing that happened was they started powder coating. Now, powder coating is what's on this Rep Fitness Cambered Swiss bar right here. And typically you don't see powder coat on standard barbells or straight barbells. What you'll find it on is a lot of specialty bars. Bars like these Cambered bars, bars like multi-grip bars, axle bars are often powder coated. The benefit of the powder coat is it's an inexpensive way to coat a bar that will provide a good level of corrosion protection. As long as the powder coat doesn't get scratched off or nicked or chipped, then the bar's probably not gonna rust if it's applied appropriately. So pretty low price. That's why they put it on these specialty bars, because it would be really expensive to make something like this in a Cerakote or a stainless steel. This stuff is available in that, but it gets very expensive. So it's an inexpensive way to do things. The feel isn't all that great. Powder coat's pretty thick, so it tends to fill in the knurling. And that's another reason you find it on a lot of specialty bars, is because on a bar like this, while the knurl, it's important to have some knurl, how aggressive it is or how grippy it is, not all that important. So the fact that the powder coat fills in the knurling a little bit and changes the feel of the bar isn't that big of a deal. As far as durability goes, powder coat does chip off. So if you rub it against, if you've got standard J-hooks, like these guys up here with the metal fronts, and you bang it into that, if you're using iron plates on an axle bar, the powder coat does come off. My Titan storage rack back here is powder coated, and all along the top of each post, the powder coat's completely gone. It's down to the bare steel. If I kept the weights off of the post and didn't slide them on and off all the time, there would be rust there. So durability, and as far as looks go, a lot of people like black bars. This is a great inexpensive way to do a black bar. So that's powder coat, not necessarily something you're gonna find on a lot of barbells. Let's move on to the next one that kind of came into play, and this is still back from my day in the late 70s, early 80s. I'm not sure about kids today because I never see them in my neighborhood riding their bikes around, but when I was a kid, your bike was everything. It was your status symbol. It was your way to get around. When I was a kid in the 80s, Your mom and dad kicked you out of the house in the morning and you didn't get to come home till night. They didn't have a clue where you were. And we were out like packs of wild dogs riding our BMX bikes around.
It's a bunch of animals acting like humans.
And at that time, there were brands that were the premium bikes. If you had a GT, if you had a Hero, if you had a number of these other kind of higher end bikes, you were the envy of the neighborhood. And chrome was the color. Now, I didn't have one of those bikes.
I hate this friggin' bike! This stupid bike!
I had the Kmart house brand. It might have been a Huffy, I don't remember, but it was more of an entry-level bike. And that's gonna serve to describe the next finish on barbells that they started to apply. Back in the 70s, they chromed everything, right? And this is the Rep Fitness Delta Basic Bar, and it's covered and it's coated in bright chrome. Now, there's a couple different levels of bright chrome. The bright chrome that was on my Huffy bike cracked, peeled, chipped, and rusted underneath very quickly. A lot of inexpensive barbells that you'll see on Amazon, when they're coated in chrome, they're coated in what's called decorative chrome, not even bright chrome. Decorative chrome is the stuff that chips off. So this chrome is much more like what you found on those better BMX bikes. This chrome is gonna stay attached to the bar. It's not gonna chip off. It's not gonna bubble up. It's not gonna rust underneath. It provides a very good level of rust protection. Again, just like the powder coat, as long as you don't chip it or nick it off, but this is very, very durable as well. The price is reasonable. That's why the coating on these basic bars, these entry-level bars, is a lot of times bright chrome because it's one of the least expensive finishes that you can put on a bar, but still have it be durable and prevent corrosion over time. Now, as to the feel, it depends on the manufacturer. So some manufacturers lay it on pretty thick and it kind of ruins the knurl. Rep does a great job at this particular bar with the bright chrome, and it's got bright chrome across the whole bar, the sleeves and the shaft. And it doesn't really ruin the feel. It does change it though. So bright chrome will dull the knurling a little bit. Your better manufacturers, when we get to some of the higher end coatings, they'll change how the knurl is cut, the offset, the filling of the coating. That stuff doesn't happen on this type of a bar. This is typically a basic bar. So bright chrome, lower cost. It's one of the lower cost coatings that you can get. Only comes in one color, obviously. So as far as looks go, now I actually really like, I used to be, when I first built my gym, I wanted everything to be black. And I've really grown to like kind of a bare metal look. The clear grind from Rep and their benches is a good example. They make some racks in that color. Stainless steel bars, chrome bars. I like the silver. Some people don't. If you're looking for a basic bar that doesn't cost an arm and a leg, that's going to last well, is still going to feel pretty good, bright chrome is a good option for you. So that's bright chrome. Let's move on to the next thing that people started putting on barbells, because not everybody wanted a chrome bar. A lot of people wanted black. And
Always bet on black.
this is one of the first barbells that I ever bought, is this next finish. When manufacturers started coating their bars in black oxide, sales went through the roof. It was one of the first times that you could get a great looking barbell with great feel from top quality manufacturers that wasn't silver, that wasn't bare steel, that wasn't the bright chrome that we just looked at. And black oxide is a coating that doesn't go on. It doesn't have a lot of thickness to it, really almost no thickness at all. It just kind of layers on color to the bar. Price-wise, it did jump the price a little bit. It is a little bit more pricey to coat the bar in black oxide than it is chrome. I would also tell you that it's not as durable. So this is a beater bar that I have. It's my landmine bar. This is the end that goes into the landmine. I made a video about this bar. This is a Rogue Boneyard bar. One sleeve is bigger than the other one, and it's hard to put, one is so big it's hard to put plates on. So this became my landmine bar. The larger end goes into the landmine, and then the other end is where I lift. Well, when you lift with the landmine, I tend to grab this part of the bar a lot more often than this. I never grab this side of the bar. So you'll see that the black oxide has worn off. So the warning that I'll give you about black oxide bars is they are going to wear where you touch them. The oil from your hands is going to help to take that coating off. Just the friction is going to help to take the coating off. So you're going to end up with a bar that shows up as a uniform black color, but it's not going to be uniform for the whole time. And this is where we start to talk about the trade-off. A lot of times when you're talking about barbell finish, you are trading the look of the bar for some aspect of performance, whether it's durability of the finish, quality of protection from corrosion, which you'll see in one of the next bars we look at, whether it's the feel of the knurl. There's always a trade-off, right? So anytime you're putting a finish on the bar, you're gonna have to make a decision of what's more important. The color of the bar that you're getting, or the finish or the look of it, and what you're giving up to get that finish. And that's why, as popular as black oxide bars when they first came out are, or were, I guess, they're not nearly as popular and don't sell at nearly the rate that they used to. And in fact, if you look at most barbell manufacturers, a lot of barbell manufacturers don't even make black oxide bars anymore, and that's strictly due to the durability of the finish. It does come off. Now, some people like that, right? You like the look of a well-used bar. You can tell that you lift with it a lot.
Well, Gene, we rode him hard. Let's put him away wet.
It's still kind of all black, so it's really a preference thing for you guys of what you like. Me personally, I've got a little bit of OCD going on, so the unevenness, if this wasn't my beater bar, I really would not be happy with it. But let's kind of summarize the black oxide. You're getting up to a little bit of a step up in price from the basic finishes. The feel, which I didn't really talk about, feels pretty good. So there's very little noticeable difference between a bare steel bar and that same exact knurl pattern on a bare steel bar with a black oxide application to it. And that's one of the things people really like, is it's still on the lower price as far as the grand scheme of finishes go, but you're gonna get great feel. It doesn't interfere with the feel of the bar like a lot of the other finishes we're gonna talk about do. So looks we talked about, and then corrosion protection. There is corrosion on this bar. Where it's worn off, even where I touch it and where I clean it all the time, there's definitely some corrosion. I'll show you some close-up pictures of these bars as we progress through the video, and you'll see that this bar definitely has some rust kind of deep down in the grooves of the knurling because the finish has worn off. So as far as corrosion protection goes, this is probably one of the least protective coatings as far as corrosion resistance goes. But like I said, at the time it came out, it was one of the only ways you could get a black bar. So I don't think we're there anymore, but there is black oxide. All right, so here's where I kind of lose track of what came first and what came after. If some of you barbell historians out there, and I know that you're out there because I talked to some of you guys at Home Gym Con, let me know in the comments what came first if I messed something up, but I'm pretty sure that hard chrome came pretty soon after black oxide, or probably at the same time. And what hard chrome is a different way to apply chrome to a barbell than the decorative or the bright chrome that we looked at on that Rep Delta basic bar. This is an American Barbell Grizzly bar. I've got a review on this coming out soon. American Barbell does not get nearly the love they should. They're made in the USA. They've been around longer than most other companies combined. They've been around forever. These guys make one heck of a bar. And a lot of their bars for the longest time, hard chrome was the choice that you had. And the reason that they use hard chrome is, number one, it looks great. It's not quite as mirror reflective. It's got kind of a brushed or a matte finish to it, kind of like a brushed nickel or a brushed stainless steel that you buy a faucet in. So the looks, I really like the looks of a hard chrome bar. It's also a relatively inexpensive finish, especially when you compare it with stainless steel or Cerakote. The nice thing about this is, in addition to the look, it doesn't necessarily affect the feel of the knurl too much. Now, it does affect it more, at least in my opinion, than the black oxide does. But it's not to the point where you're gonna go, hey, I think that this finish, I can feel the finish. Like, I can kind of feel the finish compared to like a bare stainless steel or a bare steel bar. But if this is your only bar, you're never gonna grab it and go, wow, I can kind of feel that that's coated in something. It has a real nice feel and allows for a great connection to the bar. And that's one of the reasons why American Barbell, make great barbells again, use this finish, is that it gives you a really good connection to the bar. So how is the durability on hard chrome? Now, sleeves are coated in hard chrome a lot. Like, that's one of the most common coatings for a sleeve. And that should tell you how durable hard chrome is.
This thing is built like a tank.
Is you're sliding that metal, the collar inside the weight plate on and off, or just the steel weight plate on and off. These hold up really well. So as far as durability goes, it's great. The feel is great. As far as corrosion protection, I wouldn't say it's great. It's better than average, but you'll see that this bar also has some rust on it. Now, in fairness, this bar has sat on the wall for quite a while. I haven't cleaned it in quite a while, so it's just kind of sat there, and as I looked at it, this could definitely use a cleaning. In the barbell care and maintenance video that I made probably 2 years ago now, this was the bar that I cleaned rust off of then, and it was clean when I was done with that video, and now it has more corrosion on it. So that should tell you that it's not the most corrosion resistant. But if you're looking for a balance of price, looks, feel, corrosion resistance, in my opinion, it's really hard to go wrong with hard chrome. It's just a fantastic finish. It's gonna last you a long time. If you just clean your barbell and oil it maybe twice a year. If you live near the coast where there's salt water and salt in the air and a lot of humidity, you may want to clean and maintenance it every few months. This is a really good finish if you're looking for a nice combination of all of those things. Coming up next is zinc. Now there are a couple different colors of zinc. There's bright zinc, which is a silver color, and then you've got black zinc, which is what I have here. This is the Fringe Sport Curl Bar. Now, I've been doing an experiment with this. This bar has sat, and I haven't cleaned it. I've used it quite a bit, but I haven't cleaned it in probably 4 or 5 years because I wanted to see how rusty this would get and how much corrosion would happen on the bar, and then also where the corrosion would happen. And what you'll see is the corrosion, just as an interesting aside, the corrosion happens right where the oil from my hands is left on the bar. So as far as price goes, this is a mid-priced finish. It is a good way to do a nice even matte black finish. And then the bright zinc is kind of more shiny. It's a silver. It's not quite mirror like the bright chrome is, but it is kind of a silver color. I don't like zinc. So I love this bar. I use it all the time, but I do not like the finish. And here's why. I think that zinc ruins the feel of a barbell, for lack of a better way. It doesn't necessarily fill in the knurl like some of the coatings we'll look at in a minute. So it doesn't ruin that feel. I can feel the finish. Like if you blindfolded me and put this bar in front of me, I can oftentimes tell which one has a bright or a black zinc finish on it because it feels powdery. It's not as smooth as it could be. It's hard to explain on video, but there's a feel difference. Now, some people, it doesn't bother them. I know some of you guys are gonna have bright and black zinc bars that you love. You're gonna put it in the comments, hey, I love my black, and that's awesome. It's a lot of the stuff I'm talking about today is gonna be preference.
No preference.
But as far as whether you can feel that there's a finish on the bar, especially compared to a bare or a stainless steel bar, you can definitely tell that there's a finish applied. It doesn't necessarily fill in the knurl too much, although it does dull the knurl some. That's another thing, is it does change the texture of the knurl and does impact it. Now, some manufacturers, and I believe, don't quote me on this, I'm doing this from memory, I believe Kabuki does use some zinc finishes, and what they do, they're one of the highest end barbell manufacturers in the world, and what they'll do is based on the finish that they're applying, they'll change how they cut the knurl to offset the finish that they're using so that regardless of the finish, it stays the same. If you look at the prices of their bars, they're also some of the most expensive barbells that you can buy. But if you're looking at something like by Fringe Sport or Bells of Steel or Rep Fitness, I don't think Rep makes a zinc finish right now. The lower priced zinc finishes are going to have a feel issue. So mid-priced, not that great for feel in my opinion, not that great for corrosion resistance. Really the only thing it's got going for it is if you like matte black, this is probably the best way to get a matte black bar. And I see a lot of folks out there driving matte black cars, so I know it's a popular color. So if that's the color you like, this is the finish to go with. Just keep in mind you're gonna wanna clean it pretty regularly and you're gonna sacrifice a little bit of feel, but you're not gonna pay too much for a mid-price barbell. Let's move on to the next one where we start to get to the more, I wouldn't call it exotic, but the fancier finishes that are available. Next up is possibly one of the most popular barbell finishes available today, and that's Cerakote. Cerakote is a coating that started in the firearms industry.
Guns. Lots of guns.
To prevent rust and corrosion when they're out in the field. And then they became a way to customize those weapons in different colors and patterns because you can apply Cerakote in a ton of different colors, in a ton of different patterns. So it's really beneficial when you're trying to set your bar apart from the competition. There's a bunch of different ways you can do it. You can do it in just black, you can do it in colors. Rogue does some cool stuff where they allow you to print some logos or letters on things within the Cerakote. So there's some cool stuff you can do with Cerakote. The issue with Cerakote, and we're gonna look at 4 Cerakote bars today, is that there's a variance, there's a huge variance in the quality and the application, and that impacts all 4 of the things that we're looking at today. So I'm gonna start with this Bells of Steel Industrial Rackable Curl Bar. This is a black Cerakote. This is probably one of the most entry-level Cerakote finishes that I've dealt with. The feel is rough, And keep in mind that Cerakote can also be glossy or matte. That's a property of what color the manufacturer picks. It's not a property it's not a marker of the quality of the bar. It's just whatever the manufacturer decides to do. So you'll notice this blue bar is kind of shiny, and then this one is matte. That's got nothing to do with anything other than it's just one of the many, many, many color options that you have. But this black one is kind of a matte finish, black, and this bar really shows off what happens when Cerakote is poorly applied. It's very hard to do correctly. And what I mean by correctly is there's a couple of aspects that you look for in a Cerakote finish. Number one, is it evenly applied across the bar? Are there any blotches? Are there any drips? Are there any spots? This one definitely has all of those issues with it. And that happens when you have a very low-priced manufacturing operation apply your Cerakote. So when you're shopping for somebody to manufacture your bar and you're doing it by price and you still want a Cerakote bar, oftentimes you'll end up with finish issues like this. The solution to that is to go with a little bit more expensive finish process, but not the most expensive. And what I mean by that is the solution to a lot of this issue is to just put more Cerakote on. So what you'll notice on this bar is these two bars have exactly the same knurl. It's Bells of Steel, what they call their cheese grater knurl. And there is a distinctly different feel from this, where the Cerakote was applied very thinly, which is why you can see all the variations in color, but it doesn't fill in the knurl all that much, right? So you can still feel the cheese grater knurl from Bells of Steel for those of you guys who like aggressive knurling without going to a sharp, pointy mountaintop. This is a great knurl pattern for that. Not my favorite, but I know a lot of people who really like it. But this is a very aggressive knurl. With this bar, which is the same knurl, because the Cerakote is thicker, it's a much more evenly applied finish. There's no issues with the application. There's no splotches, there's no bright or dark spots, there's no thin or thick spots. It's all thick. And you can both see and feel that. I can see it in the knurl. You can see where the Cerakote has filled in the tops of the volcano knurling, and you can absolutely feel when you switch from this one to this one. So one of the drawbacks of Cerakote is that if it's not done correctly, it can fill in the knurl of the bar to the point where it drastically changes the knurl. Now for me, I actually like this feel better than this feel. As you guys know, if you've been watching the channel, I have only lightly calloused baby hands. Baby hands! So I'm not a big fan of the real sharp knurled, super aggressive bars like some of you guys are. I actually like sometimes, and I'll show you on the two rep bars I'm going to show you next, that you take a more aggressive knurling and you coat it with Cerakote, and it just takes the edge off of that knurl so that it's a more comfortable knurl for people. So if you happen to be shopping for a curl bar from Bells of Steel, the industrial black one is going to have a more aggressive knurl than the standard, I think they call this their Rackable Curl Bar 2.0. So that's the first two Cerakote bars I want to show you. Now I want to show you somebody who is clearly using a higher end process. Now keep in mind, it's a much higher price tag. So, and I didn't mention that these Cerakote bars get into some of the most expensive bars that are out there. So you're definitely paying for the coloring of the bars. The trade-off that I talked about before, you're trading feel, you're trading the price point for a cool colored bar. But let me pull these rep bars out and I'm going to show you those two because I think those are great examples of Cerakote done absolutely the right way. All right, I changed my mind. I'm not going to show you two rep bars. I'm going to show you the Living.Fit Cerakote Bar and the Rep Fitness Double Black Diamond Bar.
I lied.
Both of these are examples of Cerakote done right. The reason I wanted to show the Living.Fit is oftentimes Cerakote makes it a much more expensive bar. This is a very affordably priced bar that has a really solid Cerakote application to it. So even though on the whole, Cerakote's going to raise the price of your barbell, it doesn't necessarily have to. And part of that is the prevalence of Cerakote in the market. Cerakote as a company is coating more and more things. Again, they started with firearms, they do barbells, they do a ton of stuff. They do a ton of automotive stuff. So as they become more prevalent in the marketplace, you're going to see pricing come down. You're going to see more and more people get good at applying Cerakote. And this bar is a great example of that. This bar's got a really nice medium aggressive knurl, a really fantastic application. It's not thick like that Bells of Steel curl bar is. it's a really solid application. The same thing with this Rep Fitness Double Black Diamond Bar. And the reason I wanted to show you these is this is a medium aggressive knurl, and this is a very aggressive knurl. This one is like little tiny needles poking into my baby hens. So this one I'm not a huge fan of, but the cool thing is I've felt this bar in stainless steel, and it's even more aggressive.
Very aggressive.
So the nice thing is when you know you're dealing with a company that applies their Cerakote well, what you can do is, if you know what you prefer as far as knurling goes, I've had a lot of people go, hey, I don't like super aggressive, but this medium aggressive isn't enough. A great in-between step is to go with a bar like this Double Black Diamond Bar in Cerakote. It just takes the tiniest bit of aggressiveness off the top because it is an applied finish that gets between you and the bar, but it's not enough to change the finish or the knurl feeling completely. So when you're looking at Cerakote, let's run through the 4 things price-wise. It doesn't have to make it super expensive, but on the whole, it does. As far as looks go, if you want to customize your bar, Cerakote's the way to go. American Barbell, who I talked about before, was actually the first company to introduce Cerakote bars. It was their California bar, I believe, and they were offering Cerakote bars long before anyone else offered them. They're a great company to go with if you like a multi-purpose barbell. They do a fantastic job of Cerakote. Like I said, they've been doing it longer than anybody else, but you don't have to go to a high-end bar like that. This Living.Fit Cerakote bar, I think it's $289 or $299 or $3. I'll put the price on the screen. It's a really good value if you want a Cerakote bar. Only available in black, no colors yet, but a great way to do a black Cerakote bar. Rep, everything Rep's doing these days is fantastic. They offer a few different colors, I think 4 to 6 colors, depending on the bar that you're looking at. I know they offer red, blue, green, black, and I think a couple more. Sorry, it's like midnight, so my brain's not working the way that it should. So here's your Cerakote bars. Durability-wise, Cerakote is very corrosion resistant when it's applied correctly. So if you're worried about your bar corroding over time, I typically, other than getting the chalk off of the bars, just because my OCD doesn't like the white chalk on the colored bars, other than that, they don't necessarily corrode. Now, if you bump them into each other, if you drop them on each other, if you run them against the edge of these metal J-hooks, the Cerakote will chip off. And if you chip the Cerakote off, then the bare steel bar below is exposed, and that will rust over time. So you're going to want to take a little bit of care. It takes a little bit to chip or scratch one, but it is possible. I do have some nicks and dings in these bars because I have too many bars and I don't have a great place to put them, so they end up getting stacked up in a corner. Not the right way to store your bars.
Shame. Shame.
That's one of the reasons why, is I do have some nicks in some of these bars, which is a shame. But corrosion protection is really good. Feel's going to depend on the manufacturer. So I think I blabbered enough about the feel on Cerakote bars to hopefully give you a good idea of how that's impacted. And that's Cerakote. Now, it's time to look at my absolute favorite barbell finish, stainless steel. All right, for the 3 of you who are still here, we're in the home stretch. We're to my favorite barbell material, stainless steel. And the reason that I have 2 is because there are different grades of stainless steel. Down here, I have the Rep Fitness end-to-end stainless steel Power Bar V2. They don't make this bar anymore. They replaced it with the Black Diamond Bar. They also made this in an aggressive knurl. It was called the Power Bar EX. I have that sitting over here. When those bars hit the market, everybody loved them. Nobody had ever seen an end-to-end. What I mean by that is not only is the shaft stainless, but the sleeve is stainless as well. And typically before, I think Rogue was one of the only people doing that. They were extraordinarily expensive bars. So the price point on these bars, and I don't remember what it was somewhere between $450 and $500 if I remember right. But as expensive as that is, that was unheard of for a solid stainless steel bar. So every garage gym channel out there, including myself, really got hyped up about this. We all made videos about how excited we were. The knurl was good. I liked the regular Power Bar knurl. This was my #1 rated barbell on the GymCrafter website for quite a while. And it was fantastic until it started to rust. And this was a problem that was reported by a lot of people who had this bar. Now, myself living here in Illinois, we get some humidity in the summertime, but I keep a dehumidifier here in the gym. So even though there is some rust on this, I didn't have near the problems that a lot of other people did. And what that brings up is all stainless steel is not created equal. There are many, many, many different grades of stainless steel, and each one that's better than the next is more expensive. At the top end, you have medical grade stainless steel, and then at the bottom end, you have something close to this. So, and all stainless steel can rust. Even that top end stainless steel can rust. So there's a misunderstanding out there that stainless steel cannot rust. It absolutely can. The difference is that when you use a higher grade of stainless steel, the likelihood that it's going to rust, especially if you just wipe it down when you're done using it, don't let chalk collect up in the knurl, you're never going to have a problem with a quality stainless steel bar rusting. But this one did. And this is actually a great reason why when you watch the GymCrafter channel, you'll see me oftentimes do 2 different reviews on products. I'll do an unboxing and first impressions video.
First impressions?
And to me, that's just what does it look like to me out of the box. But oftentimes what things look like right out of the box aren't what they turn out to be in the long run. And so you'll see me often, all the time, do a 4 or 6 month or 8 month. Once the product has had enough use, I'll do a full review. And this is why, because when I first saw this bar, I got really excited. I said, hey, everybody should buy it. It's my #1 rated bar. And then it turns out that maybe it shouldn't have been my #1 rated bar because over time they do rust. Now, again, like I said in the beginning of the video, that is not the end of the world. The rust that's on this will clean off. I'll get out my Barbell Rescue and the oil I talked about. And really in 5 to 10 minutes, I'll take care of that corrosion. It's not a big deal. But when you spend $400 to $500 on a bar, the last thing you want to do is walk over to your bar rack and have rust on it. So when Rep redid their line of barbells, they upgraded the quality of stainless steel. It's a much better quality of stainless steel. And it's even visibly different. So this American barbell bar is one of the highest grades of stainless steel. It's over $600 for a reason. But you can see on camera, this is kind of a dull color, kind of a grayish gunmetal color, which I kind of like the color, looks cool. And this is a much more shiny, kind of like you would see the tabletops in a restaurant or the scalpel or bedpan in a hospital. Yes, I just compared a barbell to a bedpan.
What did you just do?
Sorry about that. But this is a much higher quality. And when you put, I have Rep's Rackable stainless steel curl bar, looks just like this. So they've definitely upped their quality. So if you have hesitations about buying a Rep Fitness stainless steel barbell, don't anymore. Their new bars are much better than the old ones. They don't sell these anymore. And the new ones are going to be just as corrosion resistant as something like this American barbell. But I thought it was important to point out, because even though Rep stopped making these, various people who sell stuff on Amazon only have not. So occasionally I see inexpensive stainless steel barbells on Amazon, and I'd like to warn all of you guys not to buy those.
No.
They're gonna rust. They're gonna be the lowest quality stainless steel. Yes, they're gonna be a low price, but they're just not gonna be a good idea if you're worried about corrosion protection. So what do we have with stainless steel? Price point. Highest price point of any barbells out there. That's just the way that it goes, especially if you're using a good quality stainless steel. Feel. Here's why I love stainless steel. You have the corrosion resistance that I talked about, as opposed to a bare steel bar, which has the best feel because it's a direct connection to the metal, but rusts if you just turn your back for 5 minutes.
Don't turn your back on me.
These have the exact same feel as a bare steel barbell, and they won't corrode. So you get the best of both worlds. As far as looks go, I love this look. Not, again, we talked about it before, not everybody likes silver, but for me, if I could have all stainless steel bars, that's what I would have. The only reason I have the colors that I showed you is because when I bring bars in or manufacturers send them to me, I'll ask for different colors so that you guys can see what the colors look like. You can see what the Cerakote looks like. And if it was just me buying a bar for myself, I would only buy stainless steel bars unless I was on a strict budget. For me, stainless steel is the best of all worlds. Back to the trade-offs, what are you trading off? You're trading off price being high for really the best of everything else. The best feel, in my opinion, the best looks, the best connection to the bar, the best corrosion resistance. So that's all of the finishes. Like I said at the beginning, I'm sure I'm forgetting a couple. If I forgot one and you know about that finish and how it compares, drop a detailed comment below. A lot of you guys are, man, thank you so much for some of your comments, because I know I miss stuff all the time. I don't use a script when I record my videos. I do it all off the top of my head, and I miss stuff sometimes. So I appreciate you guys filling in the blanks. So if I miss something, if I got something wrong, please put it down below. One last thing, because me rambling on for over an hour at this point, and hopefully I'm editing the video down to less than that. We didn't talk about sleeve finishes very much. So I just want to touch on that real briefly, because like I said at the beginning of the video, manufacturers are at a point now where color and finish is one of the only ways that they can differentiate themselves from each other. You're seeing fancy end caps now and things like that. Well, different coatings on the sleeves is something that you're seeing. So like I said, most of your top quality barbells, this Chewy bar by American Barbell has hard chrome sleeves. That'll tell you how good of a finish that is for sleeves. It's my preferred finish for sleeves. I do like a stainless steel sleeve because there's a slight color difference from stainless to the hard chrome, but honestly, the price difference, if you're going to use high quality stainless on the sleeves as well, that jacks up the price of this bar even more and makes it really unaffordable for almost anybody. So I like the option of hard chrome, and that's what you're going to see on most. Colored sleeves, you're going to see a couple of things. You're going to see Cerakote, you're going to see Duracoat, and you're going to see E-Coat. Duracoat and E-Coat are the same thing. They're just different brand names. E-Coat is what Rogue uses. That E-Coat is what Bells of Steel uses. Duracoat is what Rep Fitness uses. It's a chemical treatment process. I'm not a fan. You will not have a pristine barbell sleeve after even loading the first weight plate. Weight plate sleeve marks all over these sleeves. Now, if you don't mind it looking kind of used and beat in or well worn, then go for it. I'll drop some pictures on here so you can see what I'm talking about. They don't hold up. Colored barbelled ends don't hold up. And manufacturers are seeing that. They made it just like when we talked about black oxide. They made it black because people wanted black, but it came with all these trade-offs and they stopped making it, or a lot of people stopped making it after that. I really think you're gonna see people stop making E-Coat and Duracoat and Cerakote sleeves, because loading those weight plates on with the steel inserts or the steel plates, there's no way that coating's gonna last. But here's what you are seeing, which is pretty cool. So if you're familiar with high-end tools, high-end drill bits, high-end tools, the best tools in the world right now are coming with titanium coatings. And titanium coatings can come in a couple different colors. The most common one is gold, but there's some other really cool kind of swirly, oily looking. It's not a solid color. It's a really neat looking finish. The sleeves on that Bells of Steel curl bar that were gold are a titanium finish. There were some Titan fitness bars at the Home Gym Con that had some titanium finish sleeves of different colors. The cool thing about that is that coating is very, very durable. That's why they coat high-end drill bits with it. And you can imagine if anything is going to wear off, it's going to be on the outside of a drill bit. And this stuff really does a good job of lasting a long time, staying good looking. It's very durable. It's very expensive. So right now, it's not very expensive, but just like Cerakote, there's different grades of it, and some of the higher end barbells, it does add price to it. So as far as sleeves go, my recommendation is to stick with something with a hard chrome sleeve. A lot of these bars that are end-to-end black, you're not gonna have that choice. Just be aware that it's gonna wear off. And then as more and more bars come out with this titanium finishes, and there's some other exotic finishes coming out, you're gonna see barbell manufacturers really dial in a sleeve finish that's durable, that doesn't cost an arm and a leg. So,
You talk a lot.
that, my friends, is a walkthrough of the barbell finishes. Like I said at the beginning, if you like this type of video, please drop a like. Please subscribe to the channel. Sharing these videos with others really does a lot to help push the content out there and let YouTube know that it's worth showing to more people. For all of you guys that hung with me till the end here, I can't thank you enough. I can't imagine listening to myself for this long. I'm gonna have to go edit this video, and I'm gonna be tired of me talking halfway in. So if you stuck this far, thank you. I really appreciate it. And until next time, I'm Tim with GymCrafter.